considered the big girl in the group.
Yeah.
But you had the biggest voice in the group.
I was the big girl. I wasn't LaTocha, and that bothered me. It was just like, go sing, you go do this. So I did a lot of work, but definitely was in the background. I wrote a lot of songs that never got the credit for it. Biggie Smalls, once he said that he would rather F RuPaul than F the ugly bees in Xscape. It was very hurtful.
The group dynamic has changed over the years.
All of us have kind of contributed to the demise of the group, for sure. When things started to escalate for the last show, I was definitely on the out. I just didn't understand how 7 women turned into one person being scrutinized. I was just ostracized, to me, in that way.
When the tour was announced and you were trying to figure out what was going on, you had your lawyer send a letter to the group.
Fans, I never wanted to disappoint them. It's like, y'all don't know what's really going on. So y'all thinking I'm quitting, that I'm a diva. They just choose to move on in the way that they're moving on without me. Nobody wants to be kicked out of it, a situation that you started, that you created, and nobody calls. They say they don't have the number. Yes, they do. I've called my sister, I text her. It's 2 years. Can you imagine not talking to your sister for 2 years?
You said that you've made some mistakes as a big sister.
Yeah.
What do you think some of those mistakes have been? I know it's hard to talk about because you love your sister so much.
Of course.
Yeah. Would you sing with the group again? Welcome to Vaught Empowers Talk, so we don't just scratch the surface. We dive deep into the lives of some of the world's most influential change makers. I'm your host, Brandi Harvey. Now, y'all, we done got into choir practice. We done already started. I have been tasked to sing before the end of this show. With a gifted voice, deeply rooted in gospel music, LaTocha is 1/4 of the prolific R&B quartet Xscape. In 1993, they exploded onto the music scene, yielding 6 consecutive top 10 hits and 3 platinum albums. In addition to singing, LaTocha has a passion for health and wellness. In 2018, she became a staunch vegan and launched her brand Made Girl, a healthy lifestyle company. She released her first cookbook in 2020, LaTocha's Planet Lifestyle, and created a fitness line of premium Made Girl athleisure wear. Her philanthropic endeavor, Made Girl Foundation, serves to build creativity in young women through teaching arts and music. Vaught Empowers Talks welcome singer and songwriter LaTocha to the show.
Listen, that was just beautiful. You just took me down memory lane, to be honest.
Back down memory lane. Ah, you see,
okay, one more.
No, I can't, LaTocha.
Back down memory
lane.
I like it. At least you did it. Most people be afraid to do it. You do. That's alto all day.
Listen, call me
Alto
Bone Crusher because I ain't never scared,
Oh,
LaTocha.
come on, baby.
So here we are. I'm so happy that you are sitting down. We had the interview before the interview now.
Yeah.
We had to get some things out. What are we going to talk about? What is following you in this season?
Yes.
But I told you before we got started that you really shaped my childhood, young adult life with your music. I mean, come on now. I was a black girl growing up in Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay, Cleveland.
And 4 girls came up with bandanas and leather vests on, hit the scene talking about just kicking it.
Yes.
Listen, you with me. Listen. And so you've done that all the way to, I told you, my favorite album, Softest Place on Earth, No Skips.
Yeah, it was Traces of My Lipstick, but Softest Place is your
Oh,
song?
that's my song.
That's your song.
Traces of My Lipstick,
Yes,
lipstick,
with the red.
lipstick. That's the intro. Yeah, Traces of My Lipstick, yeah.
That was an album for you. You know, it was a lot during that time.
I mean...
Yeah, when people listen to that album, they always say the same thing. It's the soundtrack to my life. There's a lot in that album. Just recording and finding myself and the girls and the music and shaping the next chapter. So... yeah, when I think about Traces of My Lipstick, it's a lot.
Traces of My Lipstick. This the album cover y'all know they had on the red.
Yeah.
Baby, all the videos, y'all was popping, honey.
Got a little bit more sexier.
You're my little secret.
No more baggy clothes.
Yeah.
Y'all
came
to be a
out
little more sensual this
y'all
time.
were like, y'all blossomed into the women on that album, for sure.
Yeah, because keep in mind, Jermaine was dressing us. When you said the baggy clothes with the leather, that was Jermaine.
Yeah.
He gave us that. He was like, you guys are like hood chicks. You're the ghetto in Vogue. We're like, oh, really? I mean, we did come from College Park, so in his eyes, it was the hood. But we had such big voices, incredible voices. So he was like, I want people to focus on that more so than what you had on. But yeah, that was an evolution for sure. And I thank God for it. No more cross colors, no more baggy pants.
I
We
would
were
have
women, we're females. We're growing up, you know?
I would have never put y'all as the ghetto in Vogue.
Well, that's what he said.
I would have put y'all as the girl Jodeci though.
I like that.
I would have put
I
y'all as the
prefer that.
girl, the
Yeah.
girl version, like the girl
Yeah.
Jodeci. That's what I saw y'all.
Yeah, that is true. But in his eyes,
Ghetto in Vogue.
we were ghetto.
Damn, that's a first. That's the first
Yeah.
time I've ever heard that.
Are you serious?
I would have never put y'all as the ghetto in Vogue at all. But I mean, here's the thing that I do know, and like even listening to your journey and prepping for this, you know, you were considered the big girl in the group during that
Considered,
time.
I was, yeah,
Yeah, you was the big girl in the group,
yeah.
but you had the biggest voice in the group. And I think that I can imagine that that came with some level of insecurities on your part,
For sure.
of not feeling maybe good enough in certain instances, of
Yeah.
always kind of feeling like they had to put you in the back.
Yeah.
You know, what was that time like in those formative years?
To be honest, I was just happy to have my voice heard. Whether I was in the back or the front. It was hard at times because it's like, okay, you're gonna sing all these songs, but we need you to stand here. And like you said before, I was the big girl. I wasn't LaTocha, and that bothered me. You know, of course, the self-esteem is all at the bottom. So there were things that were said, go in there and sing, and I wasn't even the type of person like, okay, am I gonna get paid for this? It was just like, go sing, you go do this. So I did a lot of work. But definitely was in the background, and it was very hurtful. But I covered it up with the voice. I'm like, I can sing. Let me just get on the mic. Let me sing my hurt. Let me sing my pain. And I think that resonated with so many other people as well, back in the day. So
I mean, for sure. I think it still resonates now.
yeah,
I mean, but I have to wonder, you know, in that space of trying to find yourself, how are you putting that into the music? Because people don't know that you were a songwriter on all these albums.
yeah.
You know, what was
Yeah.
that like in writing those songs?
Well, to be honest with you, when I'm in something, I'm in it. You know, with the group, it was always, you know, myself and Candy would write as well. All of us really wrote, but I wrote a lot of songs that never got the credit for it, you know. And a lot of times I would say, you know, my sister wasn't always in the studio to write, but she would always get the credit for it. And that's just who I am, you know, as a sister, as a, you know, this is me. So I would write songs, and they would come in, and some things they weren't even on. Like when you hear the song "Keep On Keeping On," that's just me. That's me singing. I think Candy came in and did some ad libs, but Jermaine would put Xscape on it just to make sure that that name would kind of carry what that is. So yeah, I've had to write and just kind of sit back in this world and not say anything. But still getting my voice heard, because at the end of the day, I was like, well, at least I'm able to write my feelings and write how you know, what I saw.
Yeah. I mean, what did it play into your mental? Because as this young girl growing up, not considered, because even recently, Jermaine Dupri has been noted as saying, like, you know, you all weren't considered what would be this standard of beauty for the music industry.
Yeah,
And so sometimes it was a tough sell.
very tough.
And so how did that play into how you showed up, whether that was in performance or whether that was backstage?
I mean, I've always felt like I said before, as long as I can sing, as long as I can grab the microphone, maybe you guys would not look at the body. Maybe you're not looking at what I have on. Maybe let me just give you guys what God has given me. It kind of helped it. But at the end of the day, we know as women, you know, anytime you feel unpretty, it weighs on you in so many different areas.
Yeah.
You feel like you're not enough. You feel like, okay, if I do this, it may not be worthy to have the accolades, or you don't have the confidence as you should, you know, when you're being scrutinized because of your weight or the way that you look. Yeah. And that was always what it was. And I think Biggie Smalls, once he said that he would rather F RuPaul, I think that's the words he said, than F the ugly bees in Xscape. So I was just like,
I don't even remember this.
Yeah.
This was a lyric that Notorious B.I.G. said?
Definitely said
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I can only imagine how that played into your psyche and how you showed up in the world. I mean, but it really helped fueled you. By the time 2009 comes around, you start making this transition to change your life. You get you start adapting to a plant-based diet. And that has since carried you over the years. And now, I mean, you done roll back the clock, LaTocha. I mean, you know, you done roll back the clock.
I mean, it's work. Everything. If it's discipline, it's work, it's having to think about the things that you've gone through, is shaping your character, is shaping everything about you. You know, what you've gone through as a writer, as a mother, as a daughter, as a person in the industry, all of those things, you know. And they say, what do they say? Adversity introduces a man to himself. And when I tell you the things that I've been through and the things that I've heard and experienced, it's definitely shaped me. You know, the Tasha back in the day with the back, I'm not the same.
Yeah.
Not the same girl. There were times I would go into rooms and people like, no, you don't write on this one, but you go, you know. But now it's like, oh no. Anytime somebody calls me, I'm gonna write my verse.
Yeah.
I'm gonna write my part, and I'm gonna sing from my personal experiences, because we were in a male-dominated industry. So we would come in and they would have everything written, and people were like, y'all didn't know nothing about this. Like, we just went in and sang it. But now I have the opportunity and the authority to say, I'm gonna write. I'm gonna be a part of this. I want to have ownership.
Yeah.
Because that's what it's about too. At the end of the day.
Yeah. You've become a better advocate for yourself
and for others.
Yeah.
Because you know, when you go through things, it's not just for you. And I had to learn that as well. It's like, girl, get over yourself. You know how many people have gone through worse than what you've gone through, and that need that advice, that need to be inspired in that way. And I never looked at it like that. It's always, okay, well, I've been rejected over here, or this person said something. It's like, but you have to be there for someone else. I think in the very beginning, when you and I, when I first got here, you were saying if the LaTocha could talk to the younger person, that's what we do. We take that time, everything that we've learned and experienced, and we give it to the younger. We give it to empower them. We give it to let them know. And to me, it's called wisdom, because I get it from my grandmother all the time. She'll tell me, girl, I've been through this. You'll be okay.
Yeah.
And my mom, too. You'll be okay.
I mean, I keep trying to tell my little cousin Lexi, she's 24. I do this all the time. Girl, I got the T-shirt. I already got the mug and the tote bag. Why do you want to go get you one?
Yeah.
You know?
But in the industry, we didn't have that. We didn't have people saying, hey, let me talk to you for a second. This is what is expected. Or this is what you may go through. I got you. We never had that. So as we're transitioning, becoming young women in this industry, not knowing, very naive, you know, you actually thrust into an industry that you know nothing of. And you learn. And then sometimes, you know, when you look and you see people are judging and doing those things, it's like, if you guys can only walk a year, I will give you guys a year in this industry. It's a lot.
Yeah. You talk about things you've had to learn. I really want to dive into some of the things you've had to unlearn, because there are so many women who look at you and they see an inspiration because they may have been carrying some weight for a number of years and they had to shed that weight. I want you to talk to those women. What have you had to lose? What have you had to unlearn while losing the weight?
That everybody that comes around is not your friend. I'll start there first, because there are people who actually prey on your downfall. They prey on the fact that you don't know, so they take advantage of you. People who come into your life to say, let me help you, they're not that. And a lot of times they'll come in, they'll do their damage, and they'll spread little rumors, and then they leave. So I had to unlearn that everybody that comes to you, it's not your friend. It's not a friend.
Yeah.
When a friend is a real friend, up and down. I'm not going to say they don't judge me. I think for me, my friends, they hold me accountable. They tell me what it is. They tell me the truth. My family members tell me the truth. There's nobody, like they say, blow smoke up my behind. They come tell me what it is. Don't do that. Don't say that. And when you were looking like that, people, And so I have to surround myself with people who are not yes men. So I had to learn that and unlearn a lot of things, being a female in this industry, or just being a female in life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What have you had to unlearn about your health journey? Because you made this transition to live this plant-based life. And at one point you told me off camera, you were the pescatarian, and then you made the full transition to being vegan. What was the first step in that?
Well, I'll start with the family dinners. You know, growing up, my grandmother and grandfather, they had like a garden, right? So they would go out there, and they also had pigs, and they would slaughter the pigs. And, you know, I remember one Christmas, I named this pig Henry.
Not Henry.
Yeah, and my grandfather, we ate good that Christmas. And I go, where's Henry? He was like, you ate him. You ate Henry. And I was very sad. I was very sad, but I was like, okay, later on, it's like, I didn't need the pork. I didn't need that part of it. You know, I learned good about the garden and planting with my grandmother and doing fried green tomatoes and that conversation that we had in the kitchen. But I had to learn every food is just not good for you. And then it weighed you down. And a lot of times food is spiritual as well. And people don't know that. There's something that goes along with it. But I also talk about the good part of food too. So I talk about family, how we're missing that part of just sitting down and talking to our children and our family members because we're so inundated with our phones and we never get a chance to sit down and see what it really is. If you think about growing up and grandmother's in the kitchen and we're talking, and if auntie is going through something, everybody's there to talk her through it, or we're missing that part. But for me, it's about the food and what we're putting in our bodies and being just very conscious about what that is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're very conscious about that right now because you did a cookbook during the pandemic, 2020, you did a cookbook. And so what are you hoping that people really walk away with when they get that cookbook, when they learn some of these recipes that have helped to change your life?
Well, I use that book as a staple for me, and I have stories in there about me being in the industry and being called the big girl and the things that I've had to do. So I want the book to inspire. I want the book to make you more conscious of being able to eat healthier for yourselves. I know when my father found out that he had diabetes and they were like, oh, it's genetic, I was like, I don't want it. And I was like, I have to make a change. I didn't want to be that. So I think with just that alone, that book inspired, and it came at a time when I couldn't sing anymore. Like when COVID hit, I was like, Lord, I have to walk in my purpose. I can't get on stage and affect people in that way. So what can I do? And he just kind of brought me back to when we did go on tour. And so many people like, what did you do to lose the weight? And people were coming to me telling me about their stories, about their health. And he was like, take to the cookbook. You've always talked about that. You still can inspire people in that way. So I think I feel like the cookbook is just that, to inspire, to think about what we're putting in our bodies and to allow these young girls to know, I mean, we have these fast food restaurants, but that is not food. That's not healthy at all. And then we're foggy in the brain and certain things are happening and people can't think straight. It's a lot about the food.
It's so much about the food. I truly believe that. I was vegan for 5 years, like full vegan for 5 years. And then, LaTocha, one day I was scrolling on Instagram and I saw some crab legs. And I said, you know what, girl?
You still can't do the crab meat. It's all kind of stuff.
I don't want no hearts of palm. I don't want no.
She knew exactly what it was.
I don't know, baby. I know how to cook the vegan food, baby. I don't want no hearts of palm crab cake. It ain't the same.
The trumpet mushrooms and all that other stuff.
I don't want that.
You don't want it.
No, give me a Maryland.
There's nothing wrong with that. It's nothing wrong with. But I think when we're more conscious of smaller things like vegetables and things that we're putting in, I'm not saying stop eating this stuff, but people are not eating vegetables at all.
No, I call myself plant-based, right? Because I really eat, most of my meals are fruits and vegetables.
That's right.
Whole food diet. I just recently gave up alcohol, so I'm probably like over.
Oh, you gave up alcohol?
I gave up alcohol.
Oh.
Yeah, and all processed foods.
How do you feel?
So, amazing. I feel absolutely amazing.
Okay.
I think over 40, I realized that alcohol does not do me well. And I keep talking about this on all the episodes because I just feel so good. You
look good.
Thank you. Friend, I be doing my little 1, 2, 1, 2.
No, you know that. And exercise is key as well.
Oh yeah. Well, I eat well, give a damn, move my body every day.
Oh. Okay. All right.
I do every day. You know. I mean, but I think that there's something, because I know when women are carrying weight, that the weight is attached to so many different emotions.
Yeah.
It's attached to so many different things. And I can only imagine years of having compounded, self-esteem hits and feeling these moments of, I only feel worthy when I'm on the stage, doing my thing. I can only imagine what that feels, what you've been carrying all those years. And to start to let that go has been probably so freeing for you.
So freeing. It's in the music. It's in my walk. It's in empowering other women. I think when we did that last show, it was for the Lady of Soul Train. And I think I took to the stage and I told everybody, listen, let's not dim anybody's light. And I meant that. It wasn't anything about the group, anything like that. It was about life. And it's like I've done all these things. I've accomplished all these goals. And yes, the self-esteem was low. And now I'm at a place where I can help somebody else. And I don't want to dim the light. I want the light to shine.
Yeah.
And even what I've gone through, I feel like God has brought me closer to him so that I could be a light.
I mean, you said this in one of your recent interviews. You said that the things that you've gone through, you said has been God was making you uncomfortable in a situation to bring you closer to him. And so when we think about that situation, I mean, you've gone through a lot with the group. The group dynamic has changed over the years.
Yes.
And that has been to some things on your part and some on the other lady's part.
I think it's all of us collectively. I don't think that one person can point the finger just at one person. I think all of us, like I said, we're very young in the industry. We never had someone to sit down and have therapy or talk it out. It's like we were always moving 30 years. It's just like ongoing, and we never talked about anything. And when you have a group or partnership, anything that you don't communicate, you already know how that's going to end. It's not going to end well.
Yeah.
And then you have people who become successful and they start making more money. So with that comes even worse. It's even worse because it's like I don't have time to talk about it now. I have money. I can move on and do that. But we never really sat down to talk about any of the differences. We just kind of carried that, all of us. And so all of us have, kind of contributed to the demise of the group for sure.
So when you think of the lack of communication, if you look back over the group in the 30 years, when do you think was the first breakdown of communication?
It was coming out of the second album, going into the third album.
That was Off the Hook?
Come on, girl. Because it was
somebody get me on Musical Jeopardy.
Yeah, Humming Coming At You was the first one, and then Off the Hook was the second one, and that is when the girls were more vocal about singing. They were like, okay, we want to sing more, and when we come in the studio, they're asking Tasha to sing a lot of the songs. So for the third album, I had opted.
So wait, just for clarity, at this point, you were pretty much the lead singer on most of the records.
I wouldn't.
Well, because
I don't want to say the lead singer.
Who can I run to? Who was lead?
I was on Who Can I Run To? And that story is such a long story. The Who Can I Run To? Jermaine and I were in his basement listening to records. And keep in mind, I grew up in the church, so we couldn't listen to secular. Like, we couldn't listen to music like that. So
you was Pentecostal.
Holiness.
Oh, holiness.
Holiness.
You wore long skirts, no makeup.
No makeup. Yeah. No finger up. Yeah.
Look at you now with them legs out, Tasha.
Legs out. They gonna say something about me now. But yeah, like we didn't grow up listening to that. And so when Jermaine put on the Jones Girls, Brandi, I was like, oh my God, the harmony is beautiful. And so I was like, we need to do this record. He was like, okay, who gonna do the record with you? I was like, my sister. He was like, oh no. Because my sister, when it came down to recording, she just took a little longer than most. And so with that, I said, listen, let me have this. Let me help. Let me do my part. And he was like, okay. So we recorded that song, and she fought me. She was like, I don't like it. I don't want to sing it. I don't like it.
Your sister fought you?
She fought me, literally.
Oh, y'all was fighting.
Like, she threw the tape out, like, I don't want it.
Oh, wow.
Back then, it was tapes. Yeah, everybody, it was tapes, back cassette tapes.
This is back before the 99s and the 2000s.
Yeah, so I'm listening to it, and I told my mom, I was like, how you feel about this song? She was like, it's beautiful. And Tamika came over. She was like, why don't you want to sing the song? And she was like, listen to it. So we fought about it. And then Jermaine asked, and I said, she's going to do it. And I made her come to the studio, sang it with her, and we went through the whole process. And to me, that is one of Xscape's best records. Like, when that song comes on,
one of your biggest hits, though, too.
Biggest hits. And to this day, they think it's our song. It's not even our song. It's the Jones Girls. It's a remake.
I did not know it was a remake until when you guys dropped that album, when you dropped the single. I'm riding in the car with my mom, and I'm jamming to y'all singing on the radio, singing "Who Can I Run To?" And my mother said, "This is a remake."
See,
and
she knew.
I said,
Mama knew.
How is it a remake? This they song. And she said, no, the Jones Girls made song. And that was how I found out when you all song was on the radio, and I'm riding in the car with my mama, and she said, no, that's a remake. Yeah. But y'all own that record.
Owned it. I loved it. Lived with it. And I was like, I got to do it. We did the record. That's one of the big ones. But like I said, I didn't want to overcrowd going into the third album. So I told them I'm not singing on anything. I'm not.
Traces of My Lipstick. You go into the studio saying, I'm not going to sing
on
lead.
anything. I'm not.
You weren't going to sing anything, or you just weren't singing lead?
I'm just not singing lead.
You just going to sing background?
I'm going to sing background. I had focus on it. I told Rocky, my family, not singing. So every studio we go in, they're like, why? The producers are like, why aren't you singing? And I didn't want to explain it, so they were like, why isn't she singing? And then people would explain it, and they would go, that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. So with the girls, Softest Place, I wasn't on that song. That was not my song. All of them tried it. Joe at the time, who wrote it,
Joe wrote that song.
wrote and produced it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I didn't even listen to I didn't want to listen to it. I got there and we had to do the backgrounds, and he had the demo version of him singing and sound amazing. His voice is amazing.
Joe is hands down one of my favorite artists.
So I got engulfed of just his voice, period. And so we go in and do the background vocals. So I was sitting outside waiting on them to do the vocals for the lead. And then he came out, said he didn't like it. The next person went in, he didn't like it, and he was like, "Gonna try you?" I said, "No, I'm not gonna sing on this song." So there was a whole hour that went back and forth, and then finally, there was a representative from So So Def named Skeeter Rock. He came in and said, "Jermaine is unhappy with y'all taking all this time on this one song. You need to go in and try it." The girls told Rocky and the management team that they were ready to go home. He flew them home, and I stayed up there and I finished the record.
You bring in the bridge, because there's the bridge on the song. This is when songs used to have a bridge and a hook. Yeah. This is the bridge. You bring the breakdown in now. You do the breakdown of the song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know I was pregnant at that time. I was pregnant with my son.
Yeah, wow. At that time.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was a lot of emotions when I think about that one record, Softest Place, which now I heard just went platinum, I think.
Because it was all on TikTok again. It was like on
it was never even a single.
It was definitely hitting viral on so many different reels and TikToks and stuff.
See?
Isn't that the power and the beauty of music?
Listen.
Like, so many people have these resurgence because, now the younger generation is finding these songs.
Yeah.
And they're finding all this music that you all have such a great catalog. I mean, when you all did the verses, I just knew that a new album was gonna come during the pandemic. You all did the verses. I shout out to DJ A1, who was y'all DJ on the show. Mm-hmm. He DJ'd my 40th birthday party because I saw him on y'all. I said, I'm in the living room, Tasha. I'm jamming. I said, who is this Negro cutting up on this here show?
Yeah.
DJ DJ'd my birthday party because of
stuff.
You all had such a great showing, you and SWV.
Fun times. Yeah.
So it's like to see the dynamic when the show comes out, you all do the reality show, and then for you to say you found out about a tour because Coco and Taj called you on the phone, it just feels like, what happened?
I mean, I was saying what happened as well. You got to keep in mind, before the verses happened, I was very intentional with making that happen. I even went on to tell Coco, hey, let's go online and let's have this kind of back and forth. I sing one of your songs, you sing one of our songs.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll help get the verses. And I say, then who knows, we could probably do a tour. So I was always I don't want to say intuitive with that, but I always felt like that was a need.
You had a vision. You were always a visionary.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And so when I told her, she was like, girl, and she ended up doing it. I did it. And then after that, the verses happened. So immediately the phone started to ring and I was like, okay, we're getting somewhere. We may one day do a tour, which ended up leading to a TV show. And normally when you do TV, it kind of helps to spearhead a lot of things. And I was excited about the TV show because I was like, okay, we're finally going to do some stuff together. The world to see two super groups who've weathered the storm, still here 30 years. I think there's 31 years. I think that, they came out before us. So I was like, who better to do it than us? And then to come to find out that, no, they didn't want me. And I'm like, I spearheaded all this, so I can't be a part of what this is. And the group nobody was talking to me at that time. Not my group members weren't, but the other group members were.
So this communication rift that started coming off the second album, you all were kind of lacking communication.
Yep.
Now fuels you guys into this new season of you guys are still not talking and communicating.
Yeah, and
with
then
one another.
I'll say this, even in between the breaks, we did have somebody that was trying to take the biopic from us, like talk about our story, and the girls felt like nobody could tell our story like we can.
Because you all did an unsung.
We talked about that.
Unsung.
And so they were trying to compile all of this information and tell the story about Xscape. Nobody knows the story of Xscape except Xscape. And so I got a call from my sister. She goes, hey, the girls called me. They said, don't talk to nobody. People are trying to get our story. So it brought us together to talk about that. And once we started to talk about that, I was out of town on the West Coast, and then they called me and said that they were on the Big Ticker show. And they said Xscape is back together. And I was like, Xscape is back together? I knew nothing of it. I just knew that we didn't like what was happening, but I didn't know we were back together. And so the fans started to weigh in like, oh my God, the TV show happened. We did Still Kicking It.
Mm-hmm.
Got through that time. We still didn't talk a lot. It was cameras on, let's go. And so we still weren't able to talk about, what the problems really were. We kind of touched on a couple of things. And after that, we went on tour.
But I felt like when I watched that show versus the last reality show you all did, it seemed like there was a split between Candy and Tiny and you and your sister. It kind of felt like the line was kind of between Team Sisters, Team Candy and Tiny. And then when the new reality show came, it appeared to me, just to me, that you were the outlier at that point.
Well, I think when Still Kicking It came on, I could say for myself that Tiny and I became closer. We had, we were always the closest ones anyway in the group. And so we started to talk more, started to spend more time together. I was always there for her, in certain times that she needed me, and vice versa. So I didn't see the two-way split. I felt like we started to communicate more, she and I. And our husbands, they started to get together and talk. We had family night. There was a lot of things that were going on, during that time. But I didn't see that part of it. But I do know that when things started to escalate for the last show, yes, I was definitely on the out. It was 7 women. I just didn't understand how 7 women turned into one person being scrutinized and kind of placed. I was just ostracized to me in that way.
I mean, I saw in one of the interviews, and then I've read this in some of the publications that have come out about this. When the tour was announced and you were trying to figure out what was going on, you had your lawyer send a letter to the group to see if what was this tour, what was happening with this tour.
Yeah. No response.
Do you feel like there was some opportunity for you to just pick up the phone and call them, or was a lawyer necessary?
Well, the lawyer was very necessary because you already have dates. You already have your infringement rights on the trademark. It was so many different things that I didn't want to
Because you own the trademark. You own the trademark of Xscape.
My sister and I, yes.
Yeah.
So at that point, it's like you guys are not talking to me, and you guys are having meetings. Coco was in Atlanta for a meeting that was called for them to have communication to squash the differences, but I was never called. So she calls me and says, hey, they flew me in. Are you going to be here? And I said, beware. We're having a meeting. They called this big meeting downtown, and I was not invited. And I told her I know nothing of it. So she said, let me find out about it. I'll call you back. She calls me back and says, yeah, they're trying to do the tour. We squashed the differences. We all said what it was. I hate that you weren't there. What is going on? I told her, I don't know. She said, they're not talking to you still. I mentioned, why aren't y'all talking to her? Don't worry about this. Basically our business. So they didn't want to get into why they weren't talking to me. And after that, it's like, okay, I sent a lawyer to make sure that legally you guys understood that I didn't know anything about the tour, who was going to call me. Live Nation was on the letter. Mona Me was on the letter. All the people that were involved were on the letter. It wasn't to the group to say, anything crazy. Is y'all not telling me nothing. I didn't know nothing about the tour. And the fans, I never wanted to disappoint them. It's like, y'all don't know what's really going on. So y'all thinking I'm quitting, that I'm a diva, that I said I never quit the group. Never.
You have never quit the group?
Never quit the group.
Even to this day?
Never quit the group.
You have never quit the group?
No. They just choose to move on in the way that they're moving on without me. So yeah, you get your legal involved. It's not just a conversation anymore. You guys are doing more than too much.
So if given the opportunity, if there's some conversations that happen and communication becomes a thing again, would you sing with the group again?
I mean, that's the group that I started out singing with. Like, why wouldn't I want to sing? Do you think I'm going through all these lengths to do what? Do you get lawyers? You know how much, that's a lot of money to get lawyers involved, to just sit back and be like, what? That I don't want to sing, that I don't want to be on the stage and give the fans what they're used to, that I don't want to sing the soundtracks to their lives, what they know.
Because you are a missing link on for them on stage, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, those are my sisters at the end of the day. Like, nobody wants to be kicked out of it, a situation that you started, that you created. You don't want to be kicked out. But at the end of the day, it is what it is, you know.
I can imagine that has got to be a little hurtful, though.
A lot hurtful.
Yeah.
You got your sister in the group. You got 2 other girls who you grew up with, and nobody calls. They say they don't have the number. Yes, they do.
I told you before we got started, because I want everybody to know I went over all of these things and questions with you before we started, so she is not being like, oh, here go Brandi trying to be no.
No.
We talked about this,
Yeah.
and that was one of the things that I brought up to you.
Yeah.
I was like, I saw the video and heard your sister called into the Ricky Smiley morning show.
Yes.
And we love Ricky Smiley. He's a great friend of the show over here. She called into the show after you did your residuals challenge.
Yes.
And which was phenomenal. You know, you had great response when you did the residuals challenge.
Chris Brown.
I mean,
the record, him,
exactly,
the artist. It's like, you know how people take our music now and sample. I was like, I'm ready to jump on this now, and it was time for me to just kind of express myself in a way that I can only express myself with. And it reached my sister.
It reached your sister.
Reached her.
Yeah.
You know how many times I've called? You wouldn't know. I've called my sister. I text her, birthdays, Christmas. Like, you know, it's 2 years. Can you imagine not talking to your sister for 2 years and we've been like this?
I cannot, LaTocha. And I told you before we started, I was like, the sister piece was such a challenge to watch on a reality show. I said, because I am so close with my sister. I have a twin sister. Her name's Carly. And she and I talk all day, every day. Like, literally, before you got here, we were on the phone in there talking on the phone, right? She's like, how'd your first interview go? We're doing the whole rundown, right, of the morning. Like, literally, by 9 o'clock, we talk. By 9 o'clock in the morning, every morning, we talk on the phone.
That's so beautiful.
So I couldn't imagine 2 years of going without talking to my sister, right? And so I can only know how hurtful that is. And then it gets played out in the media. Yeah. Because I told you your sister, she called in to the Ricky Smiley morning show, said you have her number, said she was cooking breakfast right then, said you can pull up anytime she misses you, she wants to have the relationship, she just wants to talk. And you're saying
that was perfect for me, because I've been calling you. So you mean to tell me, because she said her phone was going off and everybody's like, oh my God, your sister just did the song, so she responded. And I did too.
She said she thought you were talking to her. She felt like that was like a message to her when she first heard it.
Well, when I sing from my heart, it's a message to anybody that's going through. But for sure, my sister, I missed her. I'm like, can y'all imagine? And she and when she said, call me, pull up, I'm like, I've been calling this, but this is perfect. I even went on her page and said, I'm getting ready to call you right now. And the plethora, it was so many people like, oh my God, you know, praying hands, saying they were so happy. And I called her and she was like, I'm busy. I'll call you back. I'm doing an interview, I'm doing this. And I was like, okay, I'm going to wait. I called her again. She didn't answer. And then she ended up calling me back. So we had a very quick conversation. I told her I loved her, told her I missed her. And that's what it was.
And how long ago was that?
It was the day. When was the Ricky Smiley show? It was the same day.
Oh, okay. So this is just a couple months ago.
Yeah.
So this is probably like March, maybe?
Yeah.
Maybe March.
Yeah.
I mean, what's so interesting is that you both are saying the same thing.
I know.
I want to talk to her. I want to talk to her. I want to talk to her.
Yeah.
And yet somehow
you
guys aren't talking.
But it's never the conversation. I even told her I would love to just us pull up, just sit down and talk. And we kind of laughed about it because she knows I don't drive. Now that part we did laugh about. I was like, listen, you know, I don't eat no meat. You know, I ain't trying to go to no restaurant so people can hear, where we going to go? You know, and I was like, and you know, I don't drive far. And I was like, I'm still on my Patti LaBelle. And she laughed a little bit. She was like, you still don't drive far? You know, it was that. But just hearing her voice and talking to her was cool. You know, it's like, okay, after 2 years, I finally heard her voice. Not the world, not the critics, like all these people weighing in on our situation. Yeah. Yeah.
You said in one of your most recent interviews that you've made some mistakes as a big sister. Yeah. What do you think some of those mistakes have been?
She had a big voice. My sister had a big voice. And it was times when she would just yell and scream out. And I'm like, calm down. Maybe I should have just let her get it out. You know, maybe I should just...
The emotions?
Her emotions. Even when we were dealing with Jermaine, she told me some things. She's like, you know, it made her feel a way that when I got in the studio, Jermaine was more like into me singing. But with her, it made her feel like she couldn't sing, or she just didn't have that voice. And it's, maybe I should have said, Jermaine, this is how she feels, but I never said it to Jermaine. I just pulled her in. You're going to sing this. I didn't go off on Jermaine. It's like he was giving us an opportunity. So how dare I go talk to him about my sister and her not feeling a certain way? So I just kind of pulled her in on that way. I never put them in a room and say, hey, tell him how you feel, and that may have been a layer for her too. It's like every time I go somewhere, Tasha's the one singing, she's the one writing the songs, and I go in the studio and it's like, you guys are saying I take forever and you don't want me to sing. So that could be a lot to do with it as well. And then me being the older sister, and every time, we would go somewhere, oh, she's the oldest, and I don't know.
But do you think that's a mistake? Would you look at that as a mistake?
If I had to say so, because normally when you are a big sister or a person who could kind of mend the fence and you don't mend the fence, it does probably look crazy to the person who's coming to you saying these things. And maybe I did it in a way that I only knew to do it, and not the way that she needed it to be done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you willing to do in this season to build a bridge for you and your sister?
Keep calling. Keep telling her I love her. Keep on being a pest. But also letting her know that family is important, because nobody's winning when we're doing this. My nieces, nobody's winning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so much time, right? You said 2 years, right?
2 years went by, but when you look at life, though, on this side is less time.
Yeah. And that's a challenge, though.
It's very much so.
To work through.
Yeah.
Because now you're writing new music.
Yep. Excuse me. Yeah.
It's a lot to take in, though.
For sure.
Because I know it's hard to talk about because you love your sister so much.
Of course.
Yeah.
You love them, but at the same time, you want everybody to understand this is family, and everybody's weighing in on things that you know nothing of.
Yeah.
You don't know what we went through in the industry. You don't know what I've had to go through. You don't know what I've said to her and how we've had to come together as sisters at the end of the day. So now it's just a bad space. That's all. Just a really bad space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you give to get it back?
Time. Love. Conversation. Blocking everybody else out. I don't care about what nobody else is saying. Just as long as she and I, like you said, I'm up talking to my sister in the morning. That right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's got to feel like a missing puzzle piece.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Our whole lives together. We talk about in tandem. Come on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How has this kind of trickled into your other relationships? Because you've had your marriage has been very public. All the things have been public for your life.
Everything.
So how has this played into some of the other relationships in your life?
I'm very guarded. Trust is, you got to really, really earn the trust. You can't, there's no, like I said before about friendship, are you really a friend? Did you come in to find out what my mental was? Did you come in to find out what I'm going through so you can go take it back to talk up, So trust is not something that, it's, you really got to show and prove,
Yeah.
Because I'm a show and prove. I'm going to always be there. I'm that person. Because I know people, they ask me even today, well, when all this stuff they did to you and they said these things to you, why don't you just tell all their dirty, nasty secrets? Like, everybody's business, and I do. But what does that do for me?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah. What do you think this season is teaching you? With all these different ebbs and flows and trials and tribulations and relationship upsets and devastations and betrayals.
Yeah.
What is this season teaching you?
Faith. Holding on to it. Knowing that at the end of the day, it's about the relationship that I have with the Creator, with the Most High. Resilience. Just because somebody tells you no does not mean that is the end result for you.
Yeah.
And also being a light, because like I said before, you go through these things in life. You can either bend and break, or you can stand up, get through it, persevere, be that light, help somebody, inspire, keep moving, keep grooving, show and prove. Be there for your family so they can know, oh no, you're gonna have rough patches in life. Adversity is gonna always hit you, but that's how you weather the storm, how you get through it.
Yeah.
That makes you the person that you are. So strength at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's teaching you strength. It's teaching you faith.
Yeah.
You're writing a new album.
Yes.
Right now.
I have to.
Yeah.
That's my therapy. I could talk about things all day, but until I write them down and I get in the studio and just convey that emotional side of me, it never fails. I literally just did a song called Love Changes. And it's just about the transformative power of love and how it heals and how it inspires and how there's a journey that goes along with it. And we just have to embrace that journey. And so I allowed some people to hear it. And when I tell you, the guys were crying. Guys.
Wow.
And I'm just like, it was like, oh my God, this song, it does something to me. I had some people that heard it for the first time and they made me teary-eyed. And I'm like, I just got out of the studio singing a song. So that's what I have to do. I have to continue to allow my music to be therapy for myself and to just be my voice still.
Yeah.
Because it needs to be heard. It needs to be said. Everybody's going through. Nothing is perfect. No one is perfect. We go through things in life. It's just how you weather the storm.
Yeah.
And then having good people, my grandmother and my aunties who I can call on and say, listen, this is a lot. Come over here, girl. Let's talk. Let's eat. Let's talk about whatever it is. Or let's not talk.
Yeah. Let's just be.
Let's be.
Weathering the storm and kind of finding and navigating your way through it. You just said music has been that therapy and writing has been a therapy.
Yeah.
Has therapy been a part of the journey?
Oh, yes. I've gone on a sabbatical. Talked to some people.
Yeah.
Spent time with myself to learn to love me again and not so much as the industry or what I felt like people needed to hear from me. It's like I learned to love Tasha again.
How did you
all
do
the
that?
Things that I like.
Yeah.
Fishing. And I started to, read more books and spend time with my son, be in his life more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has that been challenging?
He travels a lot. He plays basketball. For me, yes, because when you're on the move and you're trying to create, new things, you're doing this. But it's okay to be still.
Yeah.
I got more clarity by being still.
Yeah. More clarity.
Much more than I would have just jumping on the road, getting the microphone, doing this, getting the wardrobe together, making sure the makeup and the hair is right. At the end of the day, are you right?
Yeah.
Is what the inner was saying. Are you right?
Because I'm sure it's probably been easy to fall into that over the years of just jumping on tour, getting into a new thing. Let's go record a new album. I'm sure that's probably been an easy way to fall into.
Yes.
Yeah.
But when you don't have those things, can't go on tour. They don't want you on the tour. Now what you gonna do, Tasha?
Yeah.
You can't go sing with what you created. Now what? You gonna end your life? You gonna lay down and die? No.
Yeah. You have to find new ways.
Have to live.
Yeah.
This is a gift that God has given us. How dare me say, oh, that's the end? No. It's not the end.
It's not the end.
No.
The residuals challenge, you said your marriage was ended. And then you came back and said that it's not.
No.
You
I
all
didn't
are
say
working.
It was ended.
Separated. 2 years.
That doesn't mean ended. And everybody said divorce. I never said that.
That's why you're here, Tasha. We're going to get the clarity.
No,
That's
I know,
it.
but I never said that. I think, too, when I talk about 30 years, is the group as well as my relationship.
Yeah.
That's a long time to be with somebody. To me, the group was just as much as a marriage as
Absolutely.
anything else.
I totally see that.
So me writing from my heart and speaking that way, and you got to keep in mind, this was 2 years ago. So I've held on to these things. Things have happened after 2 years.
Yeah.
I've gotten counseling, and we've gone through marriage. So there have been things that have happened that people don't know about. So when I'm writing doesn't mean it's right now. That means I've gone through it, and these are the feelings that I've had. This inside that I haven't been able to sing.
Yeah.
So this is me being able to write and say, this is what I'm feeling like.
I think what's so interesting is for people when they talk about people and their marriages, right?
Mm-hmm.
You kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't, right? Yeah. They damn you if you stay.
Yeah.
And then they condemn you if you leave.
Yeah. But you have to be happy. That's the thing.
Yeah.
If you're happy and you guys have you're comfortable and you know each other and you know what you like and what you don't like, that's your union. That's your situation. Nobody else's. Because when the lights go off and you're in the room by yourself, it's just the two of you.
Yeah.
Or you by yourself.
Yeah.
And you still have to be comfortable with that, whatever decisions that you make. And I've never made my decisions on people. Never. Anything I've ever done, I've always had to go to God. I've always felt that thing inside. I've never had to say, well, what do you think about this? And what do you think about that? Moving through the industry, I didn't have time to ask somebody, what did they think anyway? So that to me, I don't care. You know, when people, did you read the comment? I don't.
Yeah.
No, somebody have to tell me. Oh, somebody said da da da. Oh, really? That's what they said? Like you just said something earlier. I'm like, that's what they said?
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't know it.
Yeah.
But that's just me. I don't care about that. You know, I never lived my life, even being the big girl, I didn't, can you imagine if I would have read the comments?
Thank God there weren't the comments back then, right?
So
yeah.
I didn't come from that era. I come from an era of really having to go through it. You know, it wasn't no internet. We had to get in buses and go to cities and stand up and sing and actually allow people to hear what we had to say. And if they didn't like you, then you're out, you know?
Yeah.
So we had the Chitlin circuit. We were always on the road. Never had we're going to go on Instagram and set this camera up real quick.
Right.
And get on here and sing a couple of songs. No, it was never that. So I don't ask people's opinion. Now, if I do, it's a pastor where I go get, you know, spiritual advice. And that's for me internal. It's not for the world to weigh in on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, 30 years in marriage and partnership, what has it taught you about yourself?
That I'm stronger than I thought I was.
Mm.
And marriage ain't for the weak.
No.
It's not for the weak.
Tasha, I think that's probably why I haven't done it. You know what I'm saying?
Really? Is that why? Is that why? And it's okay. At least that's your honesty.
I've watched enough. I've seen quite a few. I think I have some trepidations. I will be very honest about it. There's quite a few trepidations about it.
Truth.
Yeah.
It's okay. And I'm sure at the end of the day, you could talk to your sister. You could call her. Anybody else in your
Listen,
family.
she's coming up on 10 years. She'll be married 10 years this year.
Yeah.
And so I see that it's not easy. It's not easy.
But nothing that I've ever done has been.
Yeah.
The industry, my mom and dad splitting up. It was a lot. So for a person like me, I'm not easily swayed. I work for what I have. Always have. I don't care what it is. Business, me being a songwriter, I'm getting better every day. Got to keep going.
Yeah.
Me being a sister or a aunt or a mother, I'm working at it every day. A daughter, I'm working on it.
Yeah.
So I'm never going to give up on things that I love. That's first. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah, you're never going to give up on the things that you love.
I didn't even give up on Xscape. They gave up on me. So, yeah, no, it's not that.
I mean, in this season, though, I think the audience is like, if this communication comes, we almost we almost halfway in 2025.
Mm-hmm.
If the Lord works a miracle.
Come on, Lord.
Come on, Lord. Come on. Listen, don't get me to singing, Tasha.
I would love to.
Listen, if there's a miracle that happens and some communication lines, MCI come back from the dead. Listen.
Oh, wow. Okay.
MCI come back.
Yeah.
Listen, you would get on that stage again with those girls and sing.
Do the fans want me back out? Do the girls want me back out? That's the question. Not do I want to sing. Everybody knows that. I don't send letters from lawyers to sit on the sideline. Don't. But the communication has to be there, and we all have to be transparent with one another, you know, because the love isn't lost. I just hate what has been done to me.
Yeah.
You know, 7 girls on that road, and I spearheaded the whole verses to bring the tour to life, to not be a part of it. That's hurtful. That's a lot of different things. But in life, sometimes I do believe as well that the rejection is a new direction that God has for you as well. And you don't want to think about it like that, especially when you keep going and it's like the wall the doors keep closing. I don't want to let that be the last chapter for my life.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want people to say, oh, you know, it was good, Xscape now. No, I'm still going to sing. Even if they don't, I'm still going to sing. This is what I was born to do. This is an assignment that I have on my life that I didn't give myself this gift. God did. And I would be remiss if I didn't use the gift. I couldn't do that. I couldn't sit on the gift. And in the words of Whitney Houston, I have to sing. I got to sing on them.
Yeah, you got to sing. As we begin to close out, one word you're committed to in this season of your life. One word.
One word that I'm committed to in this season in my life. I would have said myself, but I'm good with that. My family.
Family.
My family.
Why?
I mean, that's everything. Everything. At the beginning and the end of the day, because that's all you got. You wake up to yours and you go to sleep to yours. It's a blessing that God has given us. So, yeah, family.
This season, you and your sister, this commitment to family, that means you and your sister, y'all on the clock now.
I mean, we've been on the clock.
Yeah.
Now, how we approach the situation is totally up to us, and it's not, like I said, it's not for the world to weigh in on them. You guys can have your comments. I don't care. I don't read them. I don't. If I hear them and somebody else tells me, but I don't care about them. I care about my family. And in this season, yes, I'm going to do my part. I always have.
Yeah. Family.
Mm-hmm.
What's that song, as we close out? What's the song that encapsulates family?
Family?
Yeah.
We are family.
That's not in my range, Tasha.
Okay. I can bring it down. I can bring it down to the alto. Like, we are family. You don't want to do the bottom?
I don't know. I don't.
Oh, my God. Really?
That's not my range.
I got all my
sisters with me.
Hey,
we are family. See, she doing too much.
I'm trying to do the harmony.
That's all I know. Tasha, I can't sing
you
like
can't sing. You had that. You should just let us keep going. Come on, Brandi. Come on, baby.
Listen, that's all I got, Tasha. Don't try to get no more. I'm going to be a clip.
That's all I need.
I'm going to be a clip. They're going to cut a clip on the internet for me.
Oh, my God.
Listen,
it's okay.
Vault and Powers Talks, another good one. LaTocha, thank you for coming to share your truth with me today.
Sure.
I'm so grateful. Thank you for being so vulnerable. I think this is probably the most vulnerable I've seen you in your interviews thus far.
You make it comfortable. It's sisters talking, and you understand what that is. You have sisters of your own, and you know that that's a very sacred place.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you for just this time and using this platform in this way. It's so many platforms that have been used to demolition for the group and myself, but this one I feel comfortable with. So thank you.
You are so welcome. I'm so glad I can handle people with care, you guys. I'm so glad God can trust me in this season. It's a big one. I don't take it for granted.
That's right.
Y'all, thank you, LaTocha, for joining me today. Vault and Powers Talks, share this with somebody who needs a bridge to bring their family together in this season of their life. Until next time, I'm your girl, Brandi Harvey. Eat well. Give a damn. Move your body every single day.
Body.
Peace.
Yes.